that true love is real. Story time. This girl messaged me on Instagram and she was telling me about how her parents met. We're gonna call her Amanda. So Amanda's dad is from America, and somewhere in the 1990s he was working for NASA, but he quit his job and moved to Italy because he wanted to learn Italian. And Amanda's mom was from Guatemala, and she had just graduated from college, and her dream was to move to Florence and learn Italian. And I guess it was fate, but they ended up being in the same Italian class in Florence with 15 girls and one guy. And that is how they met each other, and it's really funny because there were 15 girls in the class and only one guy, and he was the only guy. All the girls in the class were obsessed with him except for Amanda's mom. She really just wanted to go to a soccer match and watch the game. In Guatemala, it's a known thing to not go to soccer matches alone because of safety reasons, but she didn't know that it was a lot safer in Italy. So she begged Amanda's dad to go with her to keep her safe, and they kind of both thought it was a date, but then they also were just like, we're just friends. I'm running out of time, but this story is so cute. Part 2 is coming right now. Part 2 of the story that shows that true love is real. So Amanda's parents go to the soccer match together, and they kind of think it's a date, but they also are like, nah, we're just friends. Long story short, they fell in love. They backpacked through Europe together for months until her mom had to go back home to Guatemala. So Amanda's dad asks her mom for her email address, but in Guatemala, back in that time, they didn't have internet, so she didn't have one. And then Amanda's dad didn't have a phone number because he didn't have a permanent house. Remember, guys, this was still the 20th century. So after all of that, they depart from each other, and he thinks that he will never see her again, and that was the love of his life. But when Amanda's mom's plane lands in Guatemala, she sees a sign that says Guatemala now has internet. So she goes home and immediately decides that she needs to find this man again. But the internet was new and it was really expensive, so she couldn't afford it. But her family owned a private school, so she convinces her dad, which is Amanda's grandfather, that they need internet because it will bring more students in. So he buys the internet because she convinced him that it was a really good investment, but she really just wanted to find the love of her life again. I'm running out of time, but this story is so cute. Part 3 is the last part, and it is coming right now. Part 3 of the story that proves that true love is real. So Guatemala now has internet, but Amanda can't afford it, so she convinces her dad, who owns a private school, to invest in internet because it will bring more students to the school. So he buys it, not knowing that she literally just wanted to use it to look up this guy. She finds the email of the cafe that Amanda's dad used to eat at all the time in Florence, and she emails it and says, hey, does blah 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 still eat there? And it turns out that he still went there from time to time, so he got her new email from the cafe, and they start talking again, and a few months later he travels to Guatemala to see her, and it was like they were never apart. And then a year later they get married and they have 3 kids, including Amanda herself. And then they got divorced. But they remain really good friends, and they both agree that they had beautiful kids and it was totally worth it. And even though they got divorced, I still believe it was true love. It was meant to be, it just was not meant to last. Oh, also, you know how her mom had her dad install the internet in their school? Well, that was actually the first high school in Guatemala that had internet and computer classes, so they actually started the new national trend of internet.
I met a guy that I really like. His name is Austin. We've been dating for about 7 months now. We really hit it off and things were going great. We decided to move in together because it made sense financially and we believed that we'd love living together. At first, we did. However, I now know why people say you never truly know someone until you live together. There's a few things that he does that drive me crazy. First of all, he hates to clean. I know the same can be said for a lot of guys, but Austin takes it to the next level. I've gone on him several times about doing the dishes. Instead of washing them, he'll try to be sneaky and throw away the dirty dishes altogether so he doesn't have to clean them or hear me complain. He claims it was an accident, but I found my mugs in place in the trash multiple times. He threw away my favorite mug that I got from Disneyland because it had caked on cereal on it and it would be hard to clean. To me, that's just next level lazy and makes no sense. The next thing I caught him doing that blew my mind and disgusted me at the same time is when he plays video games in the living room and instead of going to the bathroom, he'll just pee in an empty bottle and then screw the cap on and leave it there. He's never done this in front of me, but I'll find bottles full of urine sitting on the counter by the couch because he can't even dispose of them on his own later. The bathroom is literally just a few steps away, but I find bottles full of pee all the time. Not only is it gross, but it's highly unsanitary. However, this isn't even the worst of it. Part 2, I can't stand my boyfriend after moving in together. Throwing away my dishes and peeing in bottles is pretty lazy and gross, but not as bad as the next problem, and it's a big one. In the bathroom, after he goes number 2, sometimes he'll throw his used toilet paper in the trash can instead of flushing it, causing the bathroom to reek. He'll also throw used wet wipes in the trash can as well for the ultimate sewer smell. It grosses me out so much and I can't believe he does this. Sometimes when I'm working overtime and haven't gotten a chance to clean as much as I'd like, he'll just keep adding on to it until it topples over and falls on the ground. Oh, and he leaves the toilet seat up each and every time. He also can't cook, throws his things around everywhere and won't pick up after himself, and rarely takes out the trash. I've tried to talk to him multiple times about these issues, but he seems to just brush it off and it keeps happening. He acts like I'm being a pest or I'm the annoying one when I bring up these issues. We have 3 more months on our lease together, but I'm already looking for a way out. I'm not sure if we should live separately and continue dating or if I should just end it. When we weren't living together, I was so happy and even thought for a second that he could be the one. I really like him, but I don't think I could ever live with him again after this. Do all men live like this? Am I being overdramatic? What should I do?
Am I the asshole for telling the truth at my best friend's wedding during my toast? I'm a 30-year-old male and my best friend got married last week. I just bought a house and my wife is expecting our son in November, so I let him know I was limited in what I could contribute financially. But I did tell him I would try my best. So I went to the bachelor party in Miami, I rented the tux, and paid for mine and my wife's dinner at the rehearsal dinner. I also had a gift of $300 that I was going to give them, but we will get to why I didn't. His fiancée at the time would text me multiple times a day with updates. Fine. I didn't always respond, and it got to the point where if I didn't respond at least once a day, I'd get a call from my buddy. She texted me for the following reasons. 1. My wife was not allowed to talk about our pregnancy at all. She didn't want anyone to focus on that more than her, the bride. 2. She was not going to order any special food for my wife. No one asked her to. My wife was fine with whatever she was going to be served. 3. I was not helping the groom enough. He had to help her with favors, seating charts, and programs, so I had to help him with those things according to her. 4. She said if I was a true best man, I would offer to pay for the bar bill. I don't even know what that means. 5. She had to read and approve my speech before the rehearsal dinner and wanted to be included as much as my buddy. She told me to make things up if I had to. I was not allowed to include anyone but the two of them, and no inside jokes or stories about my buddy that didn't include her. 6. Her last text said to tell my wife to keep it together and not make a pregnancy scene during the wedding. Also, she wanted her to choose a dress that downplayed her pregnancy as much as possible. I was just so aggravated, I spoke to my buddy to see if he could reason with her. He told me to just play ball this one time, it's her day, and to cut him a break because he'd be dealing with her nonsense for the rest of his life. The day of, all the bride and my best friend do is scold me, berate me, and bark orders. I head down to the bar for the drink. The bride's mother is there and warned me not to get drunk because I ruined her daughter's day enough. That was the final straw. I didn't give them the card with the cash, and in the speech, I used my friend's exact wording about having to deal with her nonsense for the rest of his life. I wished him the best and told him I'd always be there for him, especially during the divorce. So, am I the asshole? Yeah, you are, but good job. November last year, I gave birth to our first baby. It's the first in my family and the sixth in my husband's family. It's important to say that all 6 kids are boys, and my mother-in-law is in some sick, crazy girl phase. Ever since we made the announcement, my mother-in-law convinced herself that I was pregnant with a girl. I told her that once we knew the gender, she'd be the first person to know. Lo and behold, it was a boy. We told my mother-in-law we were having a boy, but she was still convinced it was a girl. She told the whole side of the family that it was a girl, and I corrected her, but she told them I was just annoyed because I wanted a boy first. I wanted a healthy baby. I didn't give a damn about the sex. She told them that we were naming the girl after her mom, which we will never do because my hubby hates his grandma. When the baby shower gifts started to come, I noticed a lot of things that wasn't in the register, like embroidered things with the grandma's name on it. Well, the baby was born, and imagine the surprise, it was a boy, just like we have been telling everyone. The problem, for them at least, is that now the baby has plenty of girl clothes that we plan on putting on our son, specifically for his family video calls and for pictures with them. After Saturday, my mother-in-law gave us a call and started screaming because we were making the elders uncomfortable for not sticking to a masculine color scheme for the baby's clothes. She said we have to stop being childish. She just thought my belly shape was more like a girl than for a boy. I told my mother-in-law that we will not be changing the baby's clothes and just to wait until the dresses start fitting. He will look adorable. Am I the asshole for ruining a pregnancy announcement by telling the woman she may have taken the wrong test? My husband and I recently invited 8 friends for lunch, and we were asked if we could also include a new couple, Doug and Sasha. We have never met them before, but everyone who was invited had, so we said sure. At one point during dinner, Sasha needed to use the restroom, and I told her to use the master suite since the other bathroom was occupied. I was helping my husband in the kitchen when Sasha came out of the room bawling and holding something in her hand. At first, I thought she hurt herself, but she said something to Doug that caused him to drop to his knees, cry, and begin kissing her stomach. All of our friends began screaming, jumping, and crying. It was insane. Finally, Sasha tells my husband and I that she is pregnant. Of course, we congratulate both of them, and then I give them a bag to put the pregnancy test in. I will admit, I did find it odd that she brought a pregnancy test and took it at a complete stranger's house, but I didn't say that out loud. Once everyone sat down to eat, Sasha looked over to me and said, "I hope you don't mind that I used one of your pregnancy tests. I just saw them and I had to." Looking at her confused, I responded, "I don't have any pregnancy tests." Sasha says yes, in your drawer. I asked Sasha if she meant the blue box in the back of my lower left drawer that was closed. She seemed to realize I was pointing out that she basically snooped around, and she sheepishly said the box said pregnancy for pregnancy tests. I said, "Sasha, the brand is Pregmate, and those are ovulation tests. I do not own pregnancy tests. Did you take an ovulation test?" Her husband freaked the absolute F out at me and said his wife was not an idiot and can read a box. He insisted Sasha get the test out now and show me that I'm wrong. Sasha refused, saying she didn't need to prove anything to a complete stranger and insisted they leave immediately. One of the couples thought that Doug and Sasha acted completely ridiculous, while the other 3 couples thought I should have pulled Sasha aside to discuss my concerns and said I was the asshole for saying something in front of everyone. Honestly, the whole situation situation caught me off guard and everything happened so quickly. The whole thing was bizarre and confusing. I just didn't have the time to put the pieces together mentally before asking about the ovulation tests. Also, I found out later through one of my friends that Sasha did take the ovulation test and she is not pregnant.